I'm Dr. Richard Burchill, the Director of Research and Engagement for Trans Research and Advisory in Abu Dhabi. We're in Washington, D.C. today with the Stimson Center and the Orfalea Center of the University of California, Santa Barbara for a conference on confronting the challenges to global security created by Daesh. I'm currently joined by Charlie Winter from Georgia State University. Charlie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Your research is very much on Daesh's use of media, both online and offline. As you're well aware, this is a very big topic in terms of their ability to be effective. I wonder if you could just give us your views on why are they so effective with the sort of media usage?
Sure. So for the last few years now, I've been trying to be as longitudinal as possible in my approach to understanding what IS is doing on a communications level. So as you mentioned, I'm looking at offline communications as well as online communications. A lot of that is based around building as big an archive as possible of the material that they're circulating each day. Not just the stuff that gets on CNN and BBC, but the stuff that the photo reports, the da'wah proselytizing materials that they're circulating, and trying to zoom out and look at the macro trends over time. Clearly, IS is a learning organization. I think that that's one of the most important things for me when looking at it and looking at how its media has adapted over the last few years. It's grown more coordinated, more centralized, and more professional. It's a term that's often thrown around in respect to the organization, but it has got a very professional edge to it. Clearly, individuals are driving the post-production techniques. There's a lot of technical sharing and human kind of capacity sharing as well to make sure that it's as joined up, as coordinated, as centralized as possible. And this is how the organization is selling itself to the rest of the world, be it adversaries or supporters.
But in that line, I mean, we know about the professional side of the production, but the message is pretty grim, isn't it? I mean, it's from what I've seen, it's relatively destructive, it's relatively violent. How are they able to package that up so it appeals to others?
Well, it is grim, yeah. There's lots of dead bodies, lots of beheadings, lots of amputations. But for all of that stuff, there's just as many photographs or videos of children playing in fields full of flowers or horses, lots of horses.
Okay.
I see an inordinate amount of street cleaning and services provision. This is the kind of insurgent activity that we don't hear so much about in the news when looking at IS, but it's one of its key themes, probably the one that it focuses on most, this utopian aspect, the caliphate as a state that's functioning. And that has both local appeal and international appeal. Right.
And in relation between their online and their offline, I mean, I think you've put out that with the offline, it is heavily controlled again. How are they getting that? Is the offline message only for the people living under their territorial control, or is the offline message for other audiences as well?
I'd say that the offline message is primarily for people who are living under their control. So not just in the heartlands, but also as they expand into new territories. One of the first things they do is set up media kiosks. So I've spoken to activists in Palmyra and Ramadi. Both said that within 4 days of actually IS taking control of the city, they established media kiosks, put up big screens, got the local population to come and watch the propaganda there. Lots of people attended voluntarily to express their loyalty to the organization, but essentially to try and avoid being punished preemptively. But the message is, it permeates far and wide, and it's something which is, again, been developed over a long time. It's IS, the learning organization, has figured out what works, what doesn't work. And what it's doing is pursuing a totalitarian communication strategy. And I don't use that term lightly. They're trying to monopolize the mass media. They're investing heavily in providing a media infrastructure to deliver their narrative. And they're not letting anyone make the message apart from themselves. And the message itself is kind of Orwellian. It's this unreality, it's this utopia. And all of these things, they combine to foster this acquiescence from the local population. I don't think that IS wants popularity, support necessarily. It knows that it can't get that from everyone, but it can get acquiescence.
So do you think there's any, on the sort of media side of it, is there anything these sort of other states that are trying to fight back Daesh IS, is there anything they can do in direct relation to the media response, this sort of countermeasuring?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question. Online, I think that a lot more can be done in general. So just more people getting involved, more activists getting involved, making their own material, but also not just focusing on the fact that it's very glossy, IS's propaganda. I think that served as something of a red herring in the past, trying to create videos which are really flashy. Offline, I think it's a lot more difficult. what we do know, what I know having spoken to people in Mosul, for example, is that the propaganda being delivered offline, a lot of it's different. We don't see it online. And a lot of it is based on the idea of retaliation, retribution, what happens post-IS, so when the Shia militias move in. So that's a very thorny question that needs a very complex response.
So the offline, going back to the Orwellian analogy, is both about this sort of lovely utopia, but also this is what's going to happen if we don't defeat all our enemies.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mixed tone. What's going to happen, just briefly, what do you think when this sort of lovely utopia doesn't exist? If people are going to start reacting and sort of saying, well, you haven't delivered on the horses, the sunny meadows, the ice cream.
I don't necessarily think that the IS media team care whether they're able to deliver or whether the organization is able to deliver this level of utopian governance that it's promising. I mean, the nature of utopia is it doesn't exist, it can't exist. But if you have this constant battering of this unreality, constant bombarding the civilian population with this thing that doesn't exist, it's not aimed at showing them what could exist, it's aimed at kind of mocking them, stopping them being able to form organic public opinion and kind of inhibiting rebellion or dissent in its earliest, most nascent stages. So I think that's one of the key things about IS media offline, that it's not necessarily aimed at convincing people of stuff, it's just trying to hobble their ambitions, hobble their ability to resist.
Right, great. Very interesting research. Good luck with it all. I'm very much looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.